discussing 6 aspects of this production. Firstly, I'll be dealing with the importance of the corporate sector in which this scene was set. The contrast here is that Porsche is the CEO, thus showing the new, modern stereotype of reverse gender inequality. Its modernity is emphasized by the office environment. The business world is a cold and sometimes cruel place for impersonal and professional behavior. In this scene, the exchange between Porsche and Bassanio can be interpreted as a financial transaction. In exchange for Porsche's love and loyalty, Bassanio safeguards Porsche's brain. However, when Bassanio defaults on this agreement by losing Porsche's ring, Porsche essentially revokes his right to her love and threatens to sleep with another man. However, as Porsche was partly responsible for Bassanio's plight in the first place, she eventually returns this ring, her ring, to him. And thus, this contractual dispute, which is our metaphor for the misunderstanding on Bassanio's part and the deception on Porsche's part, is cleared up. Now we're moving on to the feminism within this scene. Because of that deception, the balance of power and righteousness is clearly on the side of the females. For most of the scene, thus portraying a feminist point of view. Porsche and Nerissa milk this power, this newfound power, all its worth, after their lifelong bondage to the will of men, first to their fathers and then to their husbands. For a time, the women are dominant, as shown again by Porsche's CEO. However, the deception unravels, and in the male-centric status quo is restored. This is exemplified by Bassanio's return to power. In the end, it's Antonio that wants to return to the status quo the most, both in terms of Bassanio's relationship with Porsche, as well as the balance of power. This is exemplified by Antonio's closing remarks. Antonio is disappointed that Bassanio has gotten back into this happy marriage with Porsche. Even though his altruistic nature makes him happy for Bassanio, Antonio cannot help but feel that his most secret innermost desire to be with Bassanio is finally dead. Also, in terms of the balance of power, Antonio interprets himself as more feminine and female. Therefore, he is slightly disappointed that the males are back in power. Now, passing time on to Christopher.
I shall be talking about the spirit of Shakespeare within our play. He remained true to Shakespeare's intentions and meanings by preserving much of his lines, which are riddled to interesting literary puns and devices. Shakespeare's texts are of high quality and embed years of experience within them. These will definitely aid us in improving the rhyme, rhythm, and flow of our dialogues. We expounded his ideas as much as possible and avoided popular culture as these do not fit well within a Shakespearean play. Not too much humor was added for the same reason, holding true to the original by delivering the message that Shakespeare intended. To conclude the play nicely with a light-hearted tone, but excluding slapstick humor as much as possible. All the changes made to the script are carefully considered and not too drastic. I shall be explaining the props and the relationship between the themes. Each included prop is carefully considered for its symbolism. The pantry is stocked with snacks and food and symbolizes hunger for revenge. Not the revenge with malice, but in return for Bassanio and Graziano breaking their oath to keep the rings. The rings, on the other hand, are the most important prop in the play. It is the focus of the scene and a symbolic device representing love and trust and bondage. These facilitate Porsche's plan of deception and thus the transfer of power within the scene. Lorenzo makes a comment on being a talking prop, a light-hearted comment on his small role within the scene. The door frame gives the production an appropriate set of steps. These contrast nicely to the serious atmosphere of the office. Now we're passing the time on to Akash.
So on our last two topics on how deception leads to power, in terms of attire, our costumes are clearly reflective of the nature of our characters. However, these are also the outward appearances that these characters wish to portray of themselves, concealing some of their inner nature, possibly to their advantage. Hence, that ties into one of the major themes of the scene, that deception is indeed power, as seen by Porsche's influence over Bassanio. Porsche uses her deception to play Bassanio for a fool as a form of punishment for giving away the ring so carelessly and nonchalantly in the first place. The old stereotype, however, that females are inferior is in direct contrast with the way we have portrayed Porsche as a CEO, thus showing the new modern stereotype of reverse gender inequality. Porsche's influence over Bassanio is also shown here, and her manipulative and intelligent nature is brought to the fore. This may also imply that females can only gain power through deceit, as Portia's power is derived solely from deceiving her husband. As the deception is unveiled, the lights blacked out, acting as a metaphor for the revealing of the truth. Now on to our last aspect on the twist. The carpet that welcomes Bassanio foreshadows the twist that is about to happen, as it is usually rolled out only for people of higher authority, such as dignitaries. However, although Bassanio appears to ascend to the position of the CEO, Portia is shown assaulting Bassanio in the final scene, thus showing how Portia still retains power despite relinquishing her official powers. Thus, an ironic chord is struck that Portia is potentially still the most powerful character, regardless of the fact that she has given Bassanio the official CEO position. The twist is also a metaphor for gender equality, as Bassanio projects outward authority while Portia retains her covert influence.
Any questions? Do you have a question? You do? Yeah, you do. Okay, you're saying something about Antonio's deep-seated desire to be with Bassanio. Where did you get that information from?
Because in many people's reading of this play, people have interpreted Bassanio's and Antonio's relationship to be something closer than friends. And however, that we understand that maybe in those times, such a relationship between two men was considered acceptable. However, in our modern situation, a relationship between two men, such an intimate relationship, is considered, well, to be fair, awkward. And so we think that Antonio was indeed maybe homosexual in nature, that he wanted to be with his best friend, Bassanio.
Because you see, this is essentially a comedy and it's supposed to end on a happy note. So when you have the main character come up and say, now I know why I'm so sad, you were actually giving it a different ending. Could you please explain why?
We think that Shakespeare wrote his plays in a time when there were different classes of society, each with different levels of intellectual understanding. The poor, rural, and less educated came to watch his plays for the storyline and the humor. However, the more educated had more intellectual powers, and thus were able to understand more, able to look more understand more about the theme behind these plays. Therefore, this final scene is a form of farcical comedy, where we see that in actual fact nothing may actually have changed, although Portia reuniting with Bassanio is the happy ending.
You also were saying something about the fact that you wanted to show the financial transaction between Bassanio and Portia. Could you explain that more, please? In what terms is their financial transaction actually taking place?
Because this play is set in a corporate business environment, financial transaction is within this environment an acceptable tool to use. Now, the nature of Portia and Bassanio's relationship can be seen as a financial transaction because essentially we believe that Bassanio marries Portia partly because of her money. Bassanio has a fixation with money. He often borrows money from his friend Antonio, and in order to pursue Portia, a rich heiress, he borrows even more money from Shylock, using Antonio's life as a guarantor.
So the focus in this scene would be the financial transaction part?
Yes, the business-like nature of the relationships.
Okay. Anything else? No, you can't. So what is the focus of this scene? What do you wish to tell people with your interpretation?
I wish to show the reunition of Bassanio and Portia, while also symbolizing that Antonio still has some sadness in his play, but overall the tone should be happy. However, we put Antonio at the end so as to emphasize his attitude, and we feel that it's a new perspective that is not got out there.
So the focus is Portia and Bassanio and Antonio.
Yeah.
Antonio too. He's important.
He's somewhat important, but I don't think he's as important as Portia and Bassanio.
Alright, thank you.
Yes.